Hey, all right, it's the Android Headline Show. This is episode 66. We are broadcasting live July 3rd, Thursday evening. My name's Jeremiah. I'm joined by Nick and Alex from the site. You guys want to say what's up?
What's up, everyone?
Happy almost Independence Day, dudes.
Yes, unless you're not in the U.S. Or if you're in the U.K., then maybe you hate us. It's cool. No worries. Don't hate us. But it is tomorrow's July 4th. It's Independence Day here in the U.S. Tonight, we are talking Android. So it's the week after Google I.O. It's always a little bit of a slow week for a week or two after I.O., man. It's everybody's kind of on a hangover, digesting all the news and all the new stuff that comes out of San Francisco. So, yeah, but it's been a good week. It's been a good week anyways. Nick got his OnePlus One last week. Alex got his you got yours, what, Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, Monday.
Yep. So we're going to deep dive into those. Alex has been playing with his for the last couple days, but Nick's got his review just about done. 6,500 plus words, man. He really broke it down for us. So I'm super excited to talk to these guys about the OnePlus One and to read Nick's review when it comes out, man. It's exciting.
And don't worry, if you don't want to read that much, I have a little thing at the bottom that you can check if you just want the short.
Yeah, the TLDR.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be honest, with just about every review I read, I skip to the end and read just the good, the bad, and the final verdict, and then maybe I'll go back and read the rest of it. Maybe I won't, but
I just look for the sections I'm interested in, mostly software and like battery life, camera, then the good, bad, ugly, all that stuff.
Yep.
But or just like all the review.
So exciting times there. There's a bunch of news too. Some new Android market share numbers. HTC is finally turning a profit again. Pantech is not. Project Volta and Android L are looking really good for new battery life stuff.
Yes, they are.
Evleaks got punked. That was pretty funny. Some new app stuff. So let's jump into this though, man. Android, the market share numbers from is it ComScore?
Yeah, it's ComScore, the 3 months ending in May. So it's what, March, April, and May.
Yep.
Basically, it stayed the same from December, January, and February. 52.1.
Yep. So that did not decrease. Same thing with Microsoft, stayed the same. BlackBerry declined 0.6%.
Which we kind of expected. Same thing with Symbian, because I don't think Symbian's even being supported anymore by Nokia, is it?
No.
And Apple went up by 6%, so they took all the BlackBerry people, looks like.
Yep. But Android is still the majority.
But then on the OEM side, Apple is the majority, which is kind of funny.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
so
been the
Apple
case
is the
forever,
top
though.
manufacturer. Right,
Yeah.
and it's just because...
Well, it's also they only put out one phone a year. Or 2 phones now, I guess, with the 5S and 5C.
That's if they keep doing that too.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do another 5C. Although they're saying 2 different sizes this year, though.
Yeah, instead of 2 devices, we'll see a 4.7 and a 5.5 inch.
Yep.
Is the rumor. But
I'd be shocked if that happened.
The
Apple.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You never know. I mean, what's his name? Tim Cook has taken the company in quite a different direction that I actually like. So.
Yeah, making software free. Like
well,
they're
just actually responding to what people want rather than saying this is what you want.
Keyboards. We finally have keyboards.
Yeah, well, a lot of stuff. There was another market share one that I wrote up on the first from, where was it, Kantar Worldwide? I don't know if you guys saw that one too. It's
but they do it like every month too.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same time period. And it's always interesting, I think, to look at them because basically it's showing a little bit more in the U.S. It's showing that Android has 61.9% in the U.S. So we're talking like a 10 percentage point difference here.
So at that point, then we need to dive into a little bit of methodology and figure out how ComScore and
Isn't
Exactly.
isn't
like
Kantar worldwide though? Like, don't they do worldwide instead of just U.S.?
Yes, yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
10 countries.
So that would be why, because
Yep.
ComScore is only U.S.
Yeah, just I'm sure. I think Kantar does sales in those particular time periods. I don't know if ComScore is just
ComScore does
studying usage or
basically
what.
they basically do web traffic because they also put out like the top 10 most used apps, and like I think Facebook was number one, followed by like 10 Google apps, and then there are a
Okay.
couple other. I think
Yeah,
Twitter was number two.
that would definitely explain the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use my phone to browse the web all that much, so if they're just using web browsing, then I don't
well,
know, I
web
probably
traffic,
don't go that
not
often.
necessarily just from your web browser.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's web traffic along with everything from the apps and stuff like that.
yeah, I'm sure it's a decent test.
Yeah.
So, but that just confirms what we already knew. Android is just a little over half here in the U.S. and still dominates worldwide. So,
And we should be seeing the distribution numbers pretty soon because it's the beginning of the month.
Yep.
It'll
Yeah,
be
probably on the
interesting.
8th, I'd say.
It's
yeah,
usually like
it'll be
around the
Tuesday.
4th or 5th, but since holiday, it'll probably be around the 8th.
Yep, and those will probably reflect a bigger change, for
Yeah,
Android versions.
a lot more KitKat upgrades have gone out. I think in the last month, especially
Yeah, they have,
Samsung,
man. My
especially
work,
Samsung.
my work Galaxy S3 Mini got 4.4.2 this week.
Well,
That's crazy.
S3 in Canada got it canceled.
And I'm surprised that this little tiny thing actually got the update, but it did. So
Especially with TouchWiz in there, because I mean, KitKat can handle 512 megs of RAM. So
Yeah, I was pretty surprised too.
yeah, crazy. But so we'll be on the lookout for those numbers. We'll talk about those next week. The HTC is turning a profit now too. While we're talking about numbers,
finally,
for the first time since Q2 of 2013.
yep. And this is a
So
bigger profit too.
yep.
So
So
it looks like the Desire phones are really helping them out because I don't think the M8's doing much better than the M7 was. But now they have all those Desire mid-range and low-end devices to help them out. So I know they sold a bunch in China. I think they sold like 1 million in like a day or something like that. So it's
Yeah.
definitely helping.
Yep. They're selling a ton of those overseas, and I'm glad, man. I'm glad that they're finding something that's working.
I wish
And
they'd bring a couple of those over here for like their prepaid carriers like Virgin Mobile, Boost Mobile, even T-Mobile prepaid because they're actually pretty nice devices. Tom has I think it's the Desire 616, the 5-inch one. He's not too happy with it, but he doesn't really like anything that's not flagship. So
right, and that's the thing. You got to look at that as a
yeah,
mid-range phone. But the 816 is basically the Droid DNA.
yeah,
So
that was a good phone.
yeah.
I
So
love that.
and they're selling, because it's a couple years down the road.
Yeah.
For those specs, they're selling at a really low price. So it's a solid deal. But I'm glad to see HTC, starting to turn things around a little bit.
And they're
It's been a long
supposed to
time
be
coming.
They're supposedly doing a phone with AT&T called the HTC i. That's a selfie phone.
I saw that, man.
It makes me
I really
want to
hope-
cry.
I really hope that's another case of Evlix being wrong.
So what is the deal with all this selfie crap lately? Are people like all of a sudden taking selfies now?
No, people have always been taking selfies, but the terminology has just broken into the mainstream.
The word is in the Oxford Dictionary now, isn't it?
Right. So it's heavily like your grandparents and your parents who may not necessarily be technologically savvy are now using the term and understanding what it means, and they're hearing it on the Today Show, and so that kind of tech, and it's not even tech really, but just that culture tends to drag 12 to 18 months behind. So that's why you see your grandparents making jokes about it on Facebook now, and that's why we're seeing a big resurgence in the word.
Yeah, the front-facing camera on the M8 is actually the selfie camera, and then
Yes,
that new
that was my point.
the new Huawei, I think they send P7 or P6, not the Mate 2, but the one they just announced in London like a month or two ago. That one has like a groupie feature, a group selfie. Terrible name.
Yep,
But
all terrible names. And you should feel terrible for using them.
Terrible.
LG even has a selfie feature on their
Yes, the little close thing.
Yeah, I never used it, so
Yep.
Yeah,
But
it's cute, but I don't know.
yep.
I mean it's better than going to hit the shutter and moving and stuff. You can just hold it still and go like that. But I wouldn't never use it.
Yep. But yeah, that's why, Nick. That's so. We'll see what HTC does with that, but they're making money, which is a good thing. The Motorola 360 is probably going to cost a boatload of money, and by a boatload I mean more expensive than the G Watch and the Gear Live. It's not going to be insanely expensive, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people complaining about this on the internet today. So this report. There's a listing on a Chinese site that has the Moto 360 at 2,800 won, which is roughly $450. That's a little more expensive than I was estimating, but I was thinking that the Moto 360 would be either $349 or $399.
Same.
And we heard that it was going to be about double what the G Watch was.
I mean, considering the uniqueness of it, the build quality, all the stuff you're getting with it, did anybody not expect this?
Yeah,
maybe they're just being hopeful.
I was expecting around 400. I mean, I was hoping for lower, obviously, but I was thinking like 400 myself.
Well, I know we got they had a contest where they gave them away, and they have to put in the bottom of the contest, the estimated value, and they put like 250 or some ridiculously low amount, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, maybe it'll actually be affordable,
I think it was like $299. I think the other reason
I think they ruined it with that.
I think the other reason it's going to be expensive is because they don't really have the production for this because they haven't done it before. I mean, they did a smartwatch, but not one like this. They did.
Nobody has.
That one. I don't even remember the name. Moto Active, that's the one.
Are there even any other round screens that you can think of? Because I can't.
Not in production. There's some
concepts.
I'm sure
I could probably find one on Amazon that's nobody's ever heard of.
Some random thing, and I'm sure even then it's not anywhere near as complex.
Oh yeah.
This is a whole new beast.
It's a good-looking one, and Justin played with it, Google I/O last week, and he really liked it too. He'll be getting one when they come out.
So it's going to be expensive. It's not going to be $199 or $229 like the current Android Wear watches. But that's okay because this is a totally different consumer segment. Like we're talking about watches. People regularly drop $500 to $1,000 on a watch. It's an investment. It's a timepiece. Like it's not just something that you're gonna look at to tell the time. It's a fashion statement. It's people buy them for investments. So for this thing to be $400 is not going to be a big deal, except to those of us that are used to reference devices like the G Watch and Nexus phones. So don't get your panties in a bunch when this thing costs $399 or even $449 or even $499. I'd put my money on $399, but don't get upset about it. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's supposed to launch alongside the Moto X Plus One, and I'm just wondering if it's going to be more expensive than the phone. Because it might be.
Might be the same price.
I mean, the specs again for the Moto X Plus One, they're still kind of behind like the Moto X was last year. I mean, Snapdragon 800, 2 gigs of RAM, SD card slot, which kind of surprised me. Everything else is basically what you expect, a 1080p display.
I mean, hey, this thing's $350, right? So.
Yep. And has better specs than the Moto X Plus One.
Exactly.
Yep. And that's where I think some of that manufacturing, like you said, Nick, some of that's going to come into play.
Yeah.
Because they have to ramp up manufacturing on a high-quality, round-face smartwatch, whereas OnePlus was able to really take advantage of the manufacturing facilities and parts and everything that's already in place.
Yep.
all the rectangular slab smartphones that we've been playing with for
Exactly.
years.
And if you look at
the OnePlus is basically just the Find 7 from Apple. I mean,
exactly.
It's a bit different, but for the most part, it's the same thing.
Yep. And then if you look at the if you guys ever looked at the teardowns or anything like that, I was checking component parts just for the review and seeing what's in there. But it's all pretty standard stuff. You know, like the sound chip is in a lot of Samsung phones. The display is on the Find 7. You know, there's a lot of other components in it that are not unique to the phone at all. So it's things that are readily available, probably fairly cheap for what they are, that sort of thing.
Only thing that's probably unique to it is the software.
Yeah, and even then, yes, this is a custom version of CyanogenMod, but it's not like
that custom.
yeah, it's not like a complete rewrite of everything. It's just it's tailored to the hardware, so you have a couple of special things in here.
And doesn't look like gingerbread.
Yeah, basically.
Yep. So we'll keep you posted on that too, pricing on the Moto 360. But like I said, don't be upset if it costs a bunch of money, or more than you might be comfortable with shelling out for kind of an impulse buy. Maybe you got to save up a little bit.
I also don't think this is going to be something you're going to buy every year or so, like you do with smartphones.
Right. Once you find one that you like.
The specs changing much for like the minimum requirements for Android Wear, because they're not even giving it like a version number. They're just calling it Android Wear as far as the version number for it. So I don't see they're getting like huge updates like even Gingerbread to Ice Cream Sandwich and now KitKat to Android L in the fall. I don't think we're going to see big ones like that anytime soon.
This is not designed for that. This is like their TV and auto and things where it's not, well, I guess I shouldn't lump TV in there because that's a little different, but this is like auto where it's more of something to view what's on your phone rather than its own thing.
Yeah, with auto you can't really change it up too often because people aren't going to keep going out and buying a brand new car for it. Now they might buy a brand new.
That up to date.
The only way it's going to keep up to date is if Google does it somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know, tether your phone to it to download the update or something.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Keep in mind though too with these smartwatches that Android Wear just came out. So now is the time to sit back, count your pennies, save them up, and in the fall, November, Christmas time, you're going to see a whole slew of new smartwatches rolling into next year. At CES in January, it's going to be even more wearables than we saw in CES 2014.
Yep.
So maybe you want to wait. Maybe you want to shell out the money for a Moto 360, but maybe you want to wait.
I know Asus is doing one, and they said today that's going to be their hero product, that they learned a bunch of stuff with it, stuff like that. HTC's doing one this year. Pretty sure Samsung will probably do another one to go with the Note 4 in the fall, or Galaxy F.
I'd be very surprised if they didn't.
But I don't know if it's going to be Android Wear or a Tizen one. They might do both at the same time.
My bet is that anything Samsung rolls out as far as watches in the future, they will release a Tizen and an Android Wear version. Because why not? It's the same hardware.
Yeah, but just without the home button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And other watch manufacturers are going to start signing on. You're going to see.
Yeah, I know Fossil was supposed to do it. I don't know who else was in there. Sony is not doing one, which they said that they don't want to waste their time on Android Wear.
That's a mistake, but that's that's their choice.
Said the same thing with
what they're thinking.
But what other consumer watches? And I'm not even talking like high-end, super high-end like Rolex and Tag and stuff, but Citizen and maybe some nicer stuff, Movado. You might just want to wait and see what comes out before you invest $400 or $500 into a smartwatch, and then something else even better comes out a month later. Now is really the time just to hang out and watch, see what's coming down the pike.
Yeah, LG's supposed to be coming out with another one because there were rumors that they had a G Watch 2 that would be out like a couple months after the G Watch, which I think it actually came out today.
Yep. Yeah, and my Gear Live shipped today too. So.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yep. So that's good stuff. Pantech is facing some trouble though. They're not in a good situation. They could be facing bankruptcy. They owed a bunch of people a bunch of money in South Korea. So the situation that they found themselves in, they borrowed about $475 million. It's 480 billion won. So do the conversion there. From investment banks, from financial institutions, from South Korea's three biggest cell network operators, LG U+, KT, and SK Telecom. The banks and the financial institutions have agreed to, so let me back up just a little bit. They've already restructured their debt twice. The date, I believe, was the 4th or 5th that they have to pay this money back. The banks and financial institutions have agreed to roll the debt over into like basically company stock. They're doing kind of a what's the terminology? I forget the word. I'll find it in a minute.
Can't help you, sorry. I'm terrible with this stuff.
No, it's debt equity. They're converting the debt into Pantech equity. So but the three major companies the three major cell carriers have not decided on that, and they have until tomorrow to make a decision. If they decide to roll their debt over into equity, Pantech can continue operating, but they're not making any money. They've been losing money for like 18 months. If the three carriers decide, no, we want our money from Pantech, Pantech doesn't have it, they're going to have to declare bankruptcy. Everybody loses their money, and you kind of pick up the pieces. So if you're not familiar with Pantech, you may not have heard of them here in the States. They're a pretty small company. They've released some phones on Verizon and some unlocked GSM stuff, but all low-end devices. But in South Korea, they're the third largest manufacturer behind Samsung and LG. So pretty big deal over there. And they might be gone soon. So.
Yeah, I think they've only put like 3 or 4 devices here in the U.S. I think one was on AT&T. Everything else was Verizon. And they didn't do well because they're just mid-range devices.
Yep. But, the splash from that, I don't know how much impact we'll see here in the States, but something to keep an eye on. It always sucks when a company's not doing well, but I don't understand how they're not doing well, because their devices are relatively cheap to manufacture.
They had a flagship that was announced earlier this year, and man, the specs were amazing, and the build, it looked really good. I don't even remember offhand what the specs were, but it almost beat out like the specs for the S5 because it had 3 gigs of RAM, like 64 gigs of storage.
Yeah, I think in a case like this, especially where like they're the third largest in some market, and when they're only in a few markets on top of it, it's probably just poor management or something to that effect. Bad investments. I mean,
yeah,
it could be anything. It seems more like back-end stuff rather than product failures.
Somebody somewhere is stealing some money.
Yep.
I don't know.
Me.
Or just screwing up.
Yes, not us, because if so, we'd be on an island somewhere. But we're not. So, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Some exciting news from Google. They announced the 100 beta testers for Project Aura. But they announced this program back in October of 2013. They were going to give away 100 devices, 100 Project Aura devices, for free to developers that prove that they should get one of these cutting edge devices. Google had 90,000 people sign up for this, and they picked 100. So no other details yet. We don't know what else is coming. They showed off they had a device at I/O that would not quite boot up, just kind of boot looped. They couldn't get it to fully power on, but we're really close to working alpha hardware. And the next version of Android L, is supposed to have support for modular devices like Project Aura. So they've, based on their timetable, they have until, what do we say, January, I think, to
Yeah,
have
I
a
think
public
like
beta.
January, February.
Yep. To
Yeah,
start
I
getting.
think they just said Q1.
That's probably that probably is what they said, because they always say stuff like that to be broad.
Yep.
But it's going to happen soon. So in the next 6 or 8 months, if it's going to happen at all, and it looks like it is. They've got all the big, difficult, like blueprint level stuff done, and now it's just a matter of tweaking things to get a device actually booting and running smoothly, and working out the bugs to make sure all the components are hot swappable and that kind of thing. So if they even will be hot swappable, maybe you have to power the device off to switch them out. Who knows? But
Either way, I want that to be my next phone.
if you have any kind of
Gosh.
connections, or any one of these 100 developers who got one of these devices, let us know. We want to talk to them. Holy smokes, dude! I haven't been able to figure out exactly yet who these 100 people are, but I want to know. I don't know, did you guys see if Google published a list on that?
Yeah, it's on that website.
That
Pretty sure I
DScout?
put it in the post. Yeah.
Okay.
It just has like their first name and last initial, so it's not like you really be able to tell who it is.
I want to talk to them. I want to sit. I don't need, like, I'm sure they had to sign a non-disclosure, but
Yeah, probably.
just, email interview so I can ask you some questions, something.
They changed the page since I did the post. Because when I put the thing in there, it was it had all their names below, like their little blog post thing. But now it's not there.
Yep, no. So, yeah, that's super exciting, man. I'm pretty excited about the OnePlus One. I'm even more excited about Project Aura. That's truly going to be a game changer.
Absolutely.
Project Volta is also turning out to be a bit of a game changer. So we're hearing that Project Volta and Android L, I've read this in 2 different places, running on a Nexus 5, have increased screen-on times by 1.5 to 2 hours. And the goal of Project Volta was to focus on battery life, just like Project Butter was to focus on smoothness and making sure that apps and transitions and just the general OS was buttery smooth. Project Volta is about extending battery life. So it seems to be working. The Android L developer preview, I've read on 2 different sites now, in battery tests, is lasting an extra 1.5 hours of screen on time. So if the Nexus 5 didn't have phenomenal battery life anyways, 3.5 hours screen time, but if you can get 5 instead of 3.5 screen on time, that means your standby time is extended probably an extra 3 to 4, maybe 5 hours.
The test that Ars Technica did, it did like 36% better than it did on KitKat. So I don't know if that includes like a mixture of standby and actual usage or whatever, but 36% is still a pretty big number. That's more than a third.
Yeah, so that means if you're getting 9 hours off the charger, now you're getting 12. If you're getting, if you're getting 3 hours of screen on time, now you're getting 4. So you just went from unplugging your phone in the morning on a device that doesn't have phenomenal battery life. You're unplugging your phone in the morning, and instead of having to charge it up at 5 or 6 p.m., now you can get through the full day. So on a device that's got a bigger battery, something that's actually got good battery life, this is going to be the game changer that they wanted it to be. So the 2 things that we've been complaining about on Android devices for the last 24 months has been cameras and battery life. And both of those things, now the battery life is getting ready to take a pretty big leap with Project Volta, but the camera's doing pretty well too. And we'll get into that when we start talking about the OnePlus One, because I know Nick is excited about this camera.
I think that's all they used on there, isn't it?
The whole review, 6,500 words, 6,600 words about the camera.
That's right.
That's impressive. Before we jump into that hardware stuff, though, man, this was pretty funny. Just because, rumors are rumors, and these things happen from time to time. AvLeaks has been involved in some internet drama with different people from time to time. He was punked pretty good today. Yesterday? Whenever that news came out. Yesterday. So, rumors of a OnePlus tablet, as well as the
Nexus
HTC
9
tablet
with 5 gigs of RAM.
Yes.
I knew that was false.
The Volantis.
Yeah.
So both of these things, OnePlus was reached for comment about the OnePlus tablet. They said, this is completely false. We're not making a tablet in 2014. The only thing we're doing in 2014 is the OnePlus One because we got to get that right. And the Volantis was just a joke. Like, you shouldn't even have run with that. Who's talking about a Nexus 9? We've been talking about a Nexus 8. The flounder.
There was a leaf for the Nexus 9. Well, technically it's 8.9 inches. That's why they're going with 9. The one that Android Place had a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
the
that
5
one
gigs of RAM?
Yeah, 5 gigs of RAM, I didn't believe. There are a couple other things in there. I don't even remember all the specs, but there are a couple other things in there I didn't believe either. I think it was the Snapdragon 810, because I don't think that'll be ready.
That's not supposed to be ready till beginning of next year, I think.
Yeah, because LG's supposed to have an Android Silver device that comes out with an 810 in like Q1 or 2 of next year.
Yep. And who knows, maybe...
That's also according to AvLeaks, so who knows about that?
And generally, he's pretty good. Whatever else you think about his antics on Twitter and Google+, his sources have been pretty reliable. And maybe OnePlus is working on a tablet, but
they didn't necessarily say we're not working on a tablet. Period. They just said this year.
In 2014.
This stuff takes time. It usually takes about a year from starting on a device until it actually becomes public and is available to buy. So if they're starting on one now, we won't see it till about this time next year.
And as nice as the OnePlus One is, if we could get a OnePlus tablet that's 7 or 8 inches for the same cost, again, price it like a Nexus device, it'd be pretty phenomenal. So
bump it up to like 128 gigs because I'm sure people love that in a tablet.
Yeah, well, and they, OnePlus put 64 gigs in the phone, so.
Yep.
We say all this to say any rumors you hear, anything you read on the internet is still just a rumor. And in the case of AvLeaks, a 14-year-old kid can pull the wool over your eyes pretty easily. So.
That be posted as a Google engineer. But
Yep.
she could actually be a Google engineer.
One day. and good on AvLeaks for coming clean. Once he found out that it was all false, he tweeted and said, "Hey, I got punked by this 14-year-old kid posing as a Google engineer. I'm pretty embarrassed." So,
well, I don't think he really had a choice because it would have came back to bite him anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You would have found out.
Yeah. So let's jump into some exciting new stuff here, man. I want to hear you guys talk about the OnePlus One. Nick, you've had yours for like a week and a half now.
I think it's been 2 weeks now.
2 weeks?
Yeah, it's been at least
I don't
2
remember.
weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has been.
Because you got it right before I.O., didn't you?
Yes.
Yep. So 2 weeks. And Alex, you got yours on Monday. So I don't know who wants to start. You guys I'll shut up. You guys talk for a while. I'm excited.
Okay. I want to hear Alex's first impressions. Since he
I was
just
going to tell you to go first.
Ah.
I don't know. I really like it. The back, I'm not sure about it yet. It feels different compared to like other phones that I have, especially the Ascend Mate 2 here. It feels a lot nicer. Oops, I turned on the camera. Camera's pretty good, especially in low light. It's probably one of the best I've seen on a smartphone, anyways. Build quality is pretty good because like bending it, especially on like Samsung phones, you can feel it like starting to bend. This one you can't at all, so it feels pretty sturdy. I mean, it's a big phone, but it's not hard to use or anything, for me at least, because I don't really like bigger phones. This is actually the biggest one I've used as a daily driver in quite a while. Of course, it's CyanogenMod 11S, so I'm happy that it's stock Android. And battery life is pretty good so far. I think today I'm at like 3 hours off on screen and like 14 hours off the charger, and 50% left. So it's not much to complain about, really, other than the fact that it's impossible to really recommend it to other people because you can't really buy it without an invite.
Yeah. And that's definitely the biggest problem with this thing right now. It's just them getting it out the door.
Yeah, that's why I can't recommend it to people, because that's the only thing keeping me from recommending it to everyone. Instead, I'm still sticking with like the G3, even the Moto G if they want a stock Android device that's pretty good on, price wise.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think what my initial impressions were. Because I'm like, this is 2 weeks ago, so I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll kind of skim through my review and just hit the different points. The back, for sure. I love the back on this thing. I think the only thing I'm worried about is that it's going to become too smooth over time. Because when I first got it out of the box, it was really rough. If you haven't seen any of our hands-on articles or anything out there, it's basically, this is the sandstone black model. And the back of it literally feels like a pumice stone or some other kind of rough, porous stone. So it's really super grippy. And over the last 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure it's gotten smoother. I guess it could just be my imagination, but I feel like it was a little more rough before. It's really, really grippy, though. Like, I can stick it on my pant leg at an angle like this, and it won't slide off, which is awesome, especially if you have it in the car or something. You stick it on your leg. I've had so many times where my phone slides off, falls on the floor, and I gotta let it sit there until I can pull over or whatever and grab it. So, yeah, like you said with the build quality, it's awesome. This thing, it's super light, super thin, but it doesn't feel cheap. I think that's the key for sure, because a lot of things, they always go for light and thin. That's always a big selling factor on phones, but this thing it's completely solid. Gosh, I don't know what else. Performance, there's really nothing to complain about. It's stock Android with the Snapdragon 801. I mean, the only lag is because of Dalvik.
What I did notice with the RAM, though, is I can never get it to have less than a gig free.
That's a good thing, though.
It's always like a gig to like 1.6 gigs.
See, I haven't even bothered looking at that kind of stuff because it really...
I look because I wanted to tell, because like with the G3, I think it had like 400 or 500 megs free.
It's funny because right now mine's sitting at 2 gigs free.
Mine's sitting at 1.7 gigs, and I haven't closed anything today.
Yep. Yeah, me neither. I don't ever close anything, which is awesome.
The challenge is filling up the 64 gigs of storage.
I'll fill it up with pictures.
Oh, we already knew that. I have like 52 gigs free.
And especially, I mean, I ran across this on the Note 3, but especially if you're taking any 4K video, this stuff is so huge. I mean, geez, I have a file that's, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute long or something, and it's a gig. What were you going to say?
I was going to say I did like a 4K video today. I think it was like 10 seconds long, just to see how good it was, and I think it was like 175 megs.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of space, for sure.
What I don't like is Cyanogen's gallery. Like, there's nothing there other than to set images as like your wallpaper, and then edit it. It takes you into Google Plus Photos, or in my case, I have Snapseed downloaded too. Like, there's, compared to AOSP gallery, it's pretty crappy to me.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird because they made Gallery Next out to be like this big, huge thing, and it's really nothing. I don't know. I mean,
you can really only see your pictures and set them as wallpapers and stuff. I mean,
yep. And I
can't even see details like the size of it or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. For me, the most disappointing thing in Gallery is just you can't make folders. There's no folders. There's no way to organize stuff. It'll auto-organize it by date and location, which is really nice. Because especially if you're just going through the moments, then you could see, okay, well, I was at the park. Here's all the pictures I took at the park. You know, you don't have to sort that by yourself, but there's no way to manually sort things, which is the biggest problem I have with photos. You can't find anything. You're just scrolling through a gigantic wall of pictures.
Yeah. What
So
the gallery is in the Play Store, so I'm guessing we'll probably get updates without OTAs.
yeah, well, I've gotten updates for the gallery quite a few times since owning the phone. They've all been, I think, bug fixes and stuff. But I'm sure once they put more of these other features out that they've been working on, they'll probably start working on updating the current things they have. So like one of the things that's missing is the always-on voice. So like the Moto X, where you can say, "Okay, Google" at any point, even if the phone's off. This is supposed to have that, and it still hasn't shipped. In fact, it was delayed another month
Yeah,
because
Qualcomm they disapproved the voice samples that OnePlus sent over to them.
yep,
So now they're doing it a different way, so they don't have to worry about them not being approved again.
yeah. So hopefully that means they work.
Well, yeah, by a different way, they're having the voiceovers professionally recorded.
Yep.
So that it will pass muster this time.
Instead of having regular people like us go in and do it.
Yep.
Because they said CyanogenMod even set up like a little studio in their offices in, I think, Seattle is where they are.
Yeah. So the back on this thing is feels like sandpaper.
Yeah, I would say that it's like a really fine sandpaper.
Yeah, that's cool. That's again, it's something different, and it's not the slimy plastic.
Yes,
and I imagine it adds to the premium feel.
It looks pretty nice too, not just like a regular black, like a matte black like you see on like the Nexus 5 or whatever.
Yep.
It feels like unique, I guess is the right word. Because I never felt a phone that feels like this on the back when you're holding it.
Yeah,
but like
I was not expecting it.
The curve here is kind of like with the like throughout the G3 and even the M8. So it fits in your hands nice, even the Moto X to an extent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you using the on-screen or the capacitive keys?
On screen.
Yeah, that's why I went to, because they put the back button on the other side.
Yeah, and it's a menu
recess
button.
key. Yeah.
I mean,
But
you
the
can
back
change
button-
it. I think you can change it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you can map it, but it still looks like a menu button, so I'm gonna think it's a menu button.
Yeah, it's silly. Yeah, it's right here. You can change it to whatever, a long press or a short press. You can change it to anything, which is nice. That's your CyanogenMod stuff at work. I'm not gonna cover all that stuff. You can read it in the review. Basically, it's CyanogenMod. You can customize practically anything on the phone. It's got tons and tons of themes. Really, really nice stuff. There's a lot of unique features to this phone, and some of them still feel like they're in beta.
That's because they kind of are.
Yeah.
I mean, this is CM's first phone, and
Yes.
technically OnePlus, even though they are Apple, but
Yeah.
so it's kind of expected.
Yeah, and I've already gotten 3 updates in the 2 weeks that I've owned the phone, so I expect
Yeah,
this
we
to
just-
continue.
We just got an update a couple hours ago, and 4.4.4 is supposed to come out by the end of the month. So
Yep, and every update's been some major bug fix for something or something or other. So they seem to be doing really good with support. I'm actually surprised they haven't moved to 4.4.4 yet. We're still on 0.2, but I don't know. I'm not going to complain that much about an incremental update like that. It's when we get the L release that I'll be like, hopefully we're not going to be waiting months on that crap.
it seems like they want this to be like more stable than CM on every other phone before they release it. So like that's why we don't have nightlies and stuff, which I think is better, because I mean, we were buying it for CyanogenMod, so they don't really care. But they probably do, but
I hope that we get the option to opt in for nightlies, because I would.
Yeah, I would too, especially when Android L is out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just to have that stuff. You can even roll back to a stable one if it doesn't work or whatever. I think before I get into the camera, the one thing that really surprised me, I guess besides the build quality of the phone, is the sound quality. I don't know how much you listen to music off of your phone or not, but the equalizer that's built into this thing is friggin' killer. I don't know how much luck you guys have had with equalizers in the past. I have had 0. I've tried so many different kinds. You get custom ROMs with Beats Audio and all this other crap built in, and none of it sounds any different. It's all the same thing. Even when you adjust stuff, it's like maybe it sounds slightly better or whatever, but it's not a substantial difference. This thing, when you play music in the quick tiles, it's got equalizer right in there, pops up as soon as you play anything. You can go straight into it from there and adjust it. It's got all your different levels. It's got presets, bass boost, surround sound, reverb, all kinds of things. And it's really quick and easy to save. And I've even turned off the EQ in my truck. I just use the phone as an equalizer. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just way better than other stuff I've used before. So
That's impressive.
yeah, I mean, I think the fact that it works at all was just a nice surprise to me, not just how good it works. Have you been able to do the G3 OnePlus One stuff yet, Alex?
No, yeah, it's been raining a lot here.
I'm getting antsy about it.
and yesterday I had to work late, so didn't get to do it yesterday.
Yeah, that's cool. All
I
this
gotta do
rain's
it
killing
soon though,
me.
because I need to return that G3.
Yeah, see, I'm curious to see that because I did a little comparison with the G2, and when I wrote it up, I really thought this thing did better than the G2. It didn't kill the G2 or anything in terms of picture quality, but I think overall colors, light balance, all that stuff was just better. And then I can't tell you how many comments I got, even on the OnePlus One forum, saying, "Oh, so much for OnePlus One having a good camera and all this stuff." And I don't know. I was just really surprised by the response from some people.
Yeah, the G3 camera was a little bit better than the G2. Like the colors looked more natural and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't see a huge difference in actual like the picture quality between the G3 and G2. It was mostly in like the shutter speed, because the G2 has a little bit. It takes a little bit longer than it did when it first came out. And
Yeah.
The G3 is like automatic, just like the M8. As soon as you hit it, it's done.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait a second or two for it to focus. I'm guessing on the G2 it's probably because of OAS, but G3 I guess they fixed it with the laser autofocus.
That makes sense. Yeah, I did notice that too in the G2 that it does take.
Yeah.
It's not even like it's a long time, but it's a little more time than other phones do. And the OnePlus is fast.
Yeah.
Like you hit take a picture and it takes a picture and it focuses, a blink of an eye fast. It's really really quick at that stuff. And I found that it focuses on stuff right, which
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure everybody out there has had that problem with phones before, where you take a picture and it focuses on nothing, or it focuses on the background, or whatever you're not trying to take a picture of. And I mean, I've had it happen, but not very often, and way less often than other phones that I've used. Even the G2, like it just seems to do a better job. God, I don't know what else to talk about on it. Video is great.
I mean it's 4K, so.
Yeah, it's 4K video.
Is there a like a limit on 4K? Like I know most phones is like 5 minutes you can do. I didn't see a limit when I was recording.
I didn't see a limit. Don't know. I haven't tried recording more than 5 minutes of 4K video.
I haven't done more than 10 minutes or 10 seconds.
I guess I could give that a shot. I think the only disappointment with the video for me is there's no HDR video, which I thought was weird because both the processor and this new Sony sensor that this thing has in it supports that. So
Yeah, it
I don't know.
does. It does what, 120 FPS at 720p, right?
At 720, yeah, it's the same as like I don't know, most other flagship phones out there. It seems like.
Well, the G2 only had it with the camera mod.
Well, yeah. I mean, the stuff that's coming out now. So like from
Yeah.
the Note 3 on, I think maybe except I don't know if the One M8 has that or
Yeah, I
not.
don't think it had it. I don't remember it having it. Anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exciting, man. That's that Snapdragon 801 has made quite a difference, just in the camera and the autofocus, and the G3 with the laser. Yeah, I'm really curious, Alex, to see a comparison on that. So
Definitely.
be looking forward to that. I know, Nick, you got a photo comparison up with some shots from the Nexus 5 and the Note 3. Did you label those yet?
I did. I did that yesterday. I think it was yesterday afternoon. I can't remember now. Yesterday or the day before. But yeah, I wanted to get more shots with the Note 3 and the Nexus 5, but I just and the S5 as well. I don't have the phones personally, so I only have so much hands-on time with them.
Right.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me. That's why I can't do a comparison with the S5 and the MA and every other phone that's out there right now, because
Yep.
I only have the G2 and the G3. Well, I have the Ascend Mate too, but I don't think that's really worthy of competing. because it's a mid-range phone.
That's not fair.
Although I think it is a 13 megapixel camera. Not sure.
Well, most of us have, friends or family or somebody that has the phone we can play with the camera on it every once in a while. And at this point, we've had enough comparisons with the G2 camera and the S5 camera to really get a good feel for what those look like.
Yep.
So when we see the G3 and the OnePlus One compared to those shots, and you see how much better they are, it's noticeable. So the G3 is available for pre-order now on T-Mobile, and it'll be available. What's the date on that?
July 16th.
The 16th, and then Sprint is going to release it the 18th or the 20th.
23rd, I think it was. No,
24th. July 24th.
I know pre-orders start on like the 11th. July
18th is when Sprint's launching.
The 11th. But what they're doing is, if you order before the 24th, you get like a $150 reward. The 25th to August 14th, you get a $100 reward. So I don't know if that's like a gift card or credit to your bill or what. Or even just a mail-in rebate that's going to take 6 months to come back.
Right. The G3, by all accounts, is probably going to be the best phone this year. All the way around. Yeah, so far. The OnePlus One is nice, but the screen on the G3 is much better. Probably get better battery life out of the OnePlus One, but the G3, just all the way around, the camera's great.
And
the software's a lot better.
It's available on all 4 carriers, and I think US Cellular too.
Yep.
OnePlus One only work on AT&T and T-Mobile, so.
Yep. So, but yeah, be on the lookout for that, man. It's the G3 is a phenomenal phone. So let's sprint through some of the software and app stuff, and then call it a night. It's been a long week. So Android Wear stuff is in the Play Store now. There's an official Android Wear companion app for your phone if you have a watch, and then there's over 20 apps now in a separate Android Wear section of the Play Store.
And another 27 just hit there today.
Oh, hey, so there's 40-something apps in there now, almost 50 apps.
Just like they have with Chromecast.
As soon as the Android Wear companion app launched yesterday, it was every story that came out was about a new app for Android Wear.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I think there was only 5 or 6, and they're, Evernote updated their app to have a companion for Android Wear and stuff like that.
Yep, so Evernote, If This Then That, Foursquare, Personal Capital Finance, Trello, which is cool for organization stuff. Lastly, Zumper. What else? American Airlines, I think Delta now.
E24 is in there. I think Lyft is in there as well. There's a bunch of different ones in there.
Google Maps.
Well, we kind of knew that was going to be there.
Yeah.
Same thing with Google Music. Or to an extent, anyways.
But yeah, it's exciting, man. This stuff's happening. And that's only going to increase, as devs kick out Wear-compatible versions of their apps. VLC for Android is officially available for the US and Canada in the Play Store now. That is still in beta, but it's still probably my favorite media player for any platform because it plays everything.
Yes, it does. It has nice speed control.
It doesn't have Chromecast support yet, right?
Not yet. When it comes out, the next version is going to take it out of beta and add Chromecast support.
See, that's the only thing keeping me from using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just watch out, though, because I had a nasty wake lock today on that thing. It stayed awake for an hour. It's
still in beta.
Yes.
So it before yesterday, I think, it was available on their website, but it was not available in the Play Store in North America, just in Europe and I think South America. Their team is mostly in Europe, the VLC team, so they didn't have a lot of American or U.S. or Canadian devices to test the app on. So they finally got that to where they wanted it, so now it's available. But it is still in beta, so it'll probably be for as many devices as they support and as much support is built into the app for all the different file types and everything, it'll probably be the fall, 3-4 months before it comes out of beta. They take their time and they make sure they get it right for as many devices as possible. But you can go get it, which is exciting. The Android L preview is available now for the source code is available for most Nexus devices. The 4, it was already out for the 5 and the 7.
It's up for the 72012 and the 3G version 2, I think. Which is kind of surprising. A lot of people thought they were gonna skip that with L since it didn't have art in KitKat. But it looks like they're at least trying to get it on there.
Mm-hmm. And the Nexus 10 as well.
Yeah.
So again, this is still just the preview, the developer's preview. So it's buggy, it's wonky. Apps might not work on it. So it was interesting to find this out this week too with Android L with this developer's preview. And I'm assuming with Android L moving forward, not only is Google switching from Dalvik to Art, you don't even have the option to enable Dalvik. It's just not there. Android L runs on Art, and that's all you get.
Yeah, that's not surprising to me because they said they were getting rid of it, I think, in the keynote.
Mm-hmm.
That Dalvik is gone.
Yep.
I'm running Art on my OnePlus One. I haven't seen much change compared to Dalvik yet.
And you probably won't.
Probably not until L.
Right. But,
yeah, it was in beta in KitKat, so I expected. But I know, for me, when I tried Art, the biggest difference for me was typing. Because I don't know about you guys, but every now and then when I type, it'll hang for a second, and then it'll catch up real quick on Dalvik. And I never ran into that on Art. And that doesn't matter what phone I use. If it's running Dalvik, I run into that.
I've had that happen before, too.
Yeah, so... And then, of course, scrolling through lists and stuff.
I had it happen on the Nexus 4 a lot, but I think that was because it was like overheating a lot because I always do wireless charging on it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever happened on the Moto X or the G2 for me.
And then Google bought Songza this week, too, for $15 million. So they'll probably roll that into Google Play Music. Songza's music aggregation is pretty good. So have either of you guys used the service?
Nope.
Played with Songza at all? I did a while ago and just didn't stick with it, but I played with it a little bit. That'll be a good acquisition. So, anything else, you guys? Anything else that we missed this week? Anything important that you wanted to hit on?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not thinking so either. I'm trying to think. I mean, most of my time's been spent with this thing anyway. So.
Yep. That's what I figured. Those were the big things this week. So, and we know both you guys have the OnePlus One. That's what's new in your Android world. What else? What else is new, man? Anything?
Well, I got the Ascend Mate 2, that $299 6-inch phone that kind of looks and feels like a bigger Note 2.
Mm-hmm.
Huge battery. I think I'm at like almost 4 hours on screen right now with like 3 days on the charge and 53% left. So kind of hard to kill it. And I've been watching TV shows on it for the last few days. You can say the same thing for the Lenovo Yoga tablet here too. The 10 HD Plus or 10 Plus HD. One of those. But this one, I think I got like 12 hours on screen over 5 days, and I just charged it this morning. So, yeah, these two are pretty crazy on battery. I did the Lenovo Yoga, the last one, and the battery is pretty good, but this one is just insane compared to those. I think it's like $349, I think. 1080p display, front-facing speakers. The speakers are really good, actually, especially if you're watching like a movie or a TV show or something like that. Then I got these batteries, which they actually stack together. So you've got 4 of them right here, so you get like 2,000 milliamp from each one. So you can stack them all together and get as much as you want.
And they work together?
Yep.
That's interesting.
There's contacts here that fit into the other ones, and there's a magnet all around it that keeps it in place.
Huh.
Weird.
It's a Kickstarter.
That's
But
really cool, actually.
they finally sent me a review in this. I think it was a Kickstarter. Pretty sure it was. Then I have some more battery packs from Unu, which I haven't even opened yet. But these are supposed to be like crazy fast battery chargers. One is I think this one's a 3,000 milliamp, and this is a 10,000 one. They're supposed to be able to charge like an iPhone in 15 seconds. So I'm guessing an Android phone in like 30 or 60. Which that's gonna be interesting to see if it really happens, because that's pretty quick for charging, especially from a battery pack. And I think that's about it. That's new for me, besides the OnePlus One.
I'm gonna be putting this together tonight. I think we're gonna be starting the giveaway tomorrow, right, Alex, for the Blue Moo?
Yeah, we were supposed to start today though.
My bad. So hopefully we'll start tomorrow. If not, then I don't know, sue me or something, but or don't. But Blue Moo, this thing here, I did the review. I want to say 2 weeks ago or whatever. Basically, this thing is like a home entertainment control center. It works via Bluetooth with your phone, so you just do your normal Bluetooth pairing thing with it, and you hook this thing up via audio to your home theater system, so you can stream music through it and all that stuff. You can choose to use Chromecast or whatever, but this thing does it just regular Bluetooth streaming. The other thing that this thing does that's really, really awesome is it's an RF unit. So, whereas normally on a remote control you have to point it straight at the TV, and if you point it away from the TV it doesn't work or whatever. Somehow this thing uses some crazy voodoo magic, and you can like stick it in the corner of your room and it still turns the TV on no matter where it is. I don't know what the heck they did with it, but it's awesome. So definitely kudos to them for figuring out whatever they did with it. But it controlled everything in my home theater area by just sitting underneath it, like not even in plain sight of any of the RF connection or wireless connection, whatever. So we'll be doing that hopefully tomorrow.
Cool, that's what's up. Yeah, we'll push that out once the contest is live, so be on the lookout for that. My week's been pretty slow. I sold my Nexus 4. I'm waiting on a OnePlus One invite. That should be coming here shortly. I think I talked last week about, or maybe the week before, about a terrain launcher. I've been playing with that, and that's actually replaced AV8 for me because it's pretty handy. And mostly because the main screen looks like the stock launcher, and the most used folder you can add to it, but it also will update, as you use apps. So I'm finding that I really only use 10 or 12 apps consistently, and so I've been able to kind of uninstall some stuff, and so I can't wait to get my hands on a OnePlus One. I also want to, give a shout out to SwiftKey. They sent me a T-shirt. It's in the washer. I'd be wearing it. I think I'll put it on next week for the show. But those guys were great, man. When they updated to SwiftKey 5.0 a month ago or so, we had Joe Braidwood, their CMO, on with us to talk about the update. And I had some pretty good interactions with their social media team. And Ryan from their team reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, thanks for kind of talking about SwiftKey and being a supporter." And they sent me a T-shirt, so kind of cool. I talked about with Joe when he was on. I've been really impressed with their community engagement and just their social media, and they're really, really good at engaging their community and engaging their users and really creating fans out of their user base, which takes a lot of hard work and takes some skill. And so kudos to SwiftKey, and thanks for the T-shirt. But that's going to do it, I think, for the Android Headline Show this week. You can find us on Twitter at Android Headline, Facebook, Google+. The show, go subscribe to the show on iTunes or Stitcher. Rate us on Stitcher and iTunes. And we want to hear what you want to hear about. We want to be discussing stuff that's relevant and interesting to you. And by rating us on iTunes or on Stitcher, that lets us know kind of how well we're doing. So go do that if you have not. We would definitely appreciate it. So the show is growing. We're more and more people are listening, and we are absolutely appreciative of that. It's been a lot of fun. So we love having you guys tune in, ask questions. So thanks a lot, Alex, Nick. It's always a blast, man. Thanks for hanging out with me again this week.
Absolutely. See you guys later.
See ya.